Let's okay. Good morning, Hi Ten, George, Realty. I hope everything had a good weekend. The weather was perfect. It's not too cold, not too hot, and so it's the best the time to go to door knocking and market your property. And you know that this is the good season of the year. It's the best time to get listings and to get some business going on. Okay. So now if you need any help from Michelle or me, please let us know. We'll support you 100%. Okay. Now, you know, the Fed is going to be having a FOMC meeting Tuesday and Wednesday. And at that time, they will decide whether they're going to keep the interest rate or raise it or lower it. But everybody was expecting that it will just keep the interest rate intact. And you know that Jerome Powell will be resigning the next month, and the new chief will be probably Kevin Walsh. And this guy is even more inflexible and more hawkish than Jerome Powell. So don't expect too much for him to lower the interest rate. But nevertheless, they were expecting at least one interest rate reduction this year, but not next month or this month. So keep our fingers crossed. And I know that everything is very chaotic. You know, we have the war, we have the economy, we have the lower employment rate and everything, and the business, the general business atmosphere in our neighborhood is not doing too good either. So yeah, it's a lot of things for us to handle, but don't get discouraged. And you know, the activity of the real estate has been going up a little bit by a little bit, and hopefully when interest rates stabilize and people and also the situation with the war stabilize, we'll be back to normal again. Okay. Now today, instead of the affiliate spotlight, we will have Michelle teach us or review some of the BRBC, because a lot of people still have a question regarding the BRBC. And as you know, this is a very important document, and it's required by law. You know, if you want to represent the buyer, and it's very important that you should handle it properly. So Michelle will spend about 15 minutes teaching us or refreshing our impression on the BRBC, and teach us how to use it more properly. Okay, so and with that, I would like to introduce our affiliate, Unita Wu, from HWA to Home Warranty. Unita, go ahead.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Michelle. And hi 10 agents. I hope you guys are doing well. Beautiful day today. You know, it's just like a little bit not too hot and it's not too cold. This is like my favorite kind of like time. I'm kind of missing that spring, right? This is like kind of feeling the spring before that summer hit. But we're here to help you. You know, we're Home Warranty. I've been in the business for 20 years. This May is going to be my 20 years with the same company, with HWA. We do pay out claims. So if anybody have not used me and Home Warranty of America, please give me a try, because I want you guys to be able to grow and I grow, and we could be able to help each other to have a win-win partnership together. And another thing that I do want to let everybody know, we're still 13 months, so we do give additional 1 month free. Our trade call fee has not gone up. It's still 75 low right now. And we do have that homeowner insurance included into your upgrade system if you guys do need it. Also, marketing material and stuff like that, just let me know. Whatever you guys need, please reach out to me. I do speak Mandarin, Indonesian, and English, of course. And we're here to help you guys. And thank you so much for all your continued support. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Unita, you mentioned that homeowner insurance?
Yes.
What is that about?
So basically, if they do have a plumbing claim or they have like some
Oh,
issue with a leak, right? And then
uh-huh.
they have a secondary damage. Maybe their wall need to be open, their hardwood
Oh, I
floor
see.
need to
I
be
see.
open. They file that claim, and then we will reimburse them up to additional $1,000 for them.
Oh, I see. I see. So do you assist them to claim the homeowner insurance in case it needs?
Yeah, so every time you file a claim and then you tell us, it's like, hey, I filed another secondary damage, maybe to
Yeah.
State Farm or whatever, you could come back and show us that receipt that you did file
Okay.
that claim, and we
Uh-huh.
will reimburse you up to $1,000 for that.
Oh, that's good. That's
Yeah.
nice to know. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
All
you're
right.
very welcome.
Give me
Thank you.
that. All right. Next we have Angie Tang from First American Title.
Hey, good
Angie,
morning.
good
Hi,
morning.
good
Hi.
morning. Hi,
Nice
Ten.
to see
Hello.
you.
Nice to see you too. So again, I wanted to reiterate that First American, again, we're in the industry, we're the first ones to come out with the fraud monitoring for free for all of our Eagles homeowner policy. So I have some more material handed out. We just upgraded it again, but we've been already having about 30,000 people that have already signed up for our program nationwide. So we launched this about 2 months ago, and we already have that many signatures that have been wanting to take a part on this free resource for our buyers. The reason why we're implementing all these different things is because we want to mitigate fraud. Fraud is just extremely prevalent right now, more so than ever. I mean, for me, in the 25 years of doing this, I finally, in 1 month, I got I heard about 3 different claims. So
Mm.
it's rising, and because it's rising, we need to take a proactive approach to try to change the way things are being done currently. So that's why we came out with this fraud monitoring for our buyers. It's free of charge for them as long as they have a Eagles homeowners policy through First American. They're automatically enrolled. We just need to have some phone number and an email so that we can actually notify them. And then they're all enrolled with our policy. So it's a very easy process. First American, we've always been the industry leader. We started this, 2 months ago, and now I think everybody's starting to catch on. But we've already had this in all states and readily available. So just keep in mind our data is again superb, and that's why we're able to get things out as quickly and quicker than actually the county does. So I'm here to help grow your business in marketing and also make sure that your clients are protected. Angie Tang, First American Title. Thank you.
Thank you, Angie. Appreciate that.
Um,
Do we have anyone in the training room?
Hi,
yeah.
Peter.
Yolanda, how are you? Yeah,
Hi,
nice
good
to see you.
morning, Peter. Good morning,
Good
Peter and
morning.
Michelle. And good morning, High 10 George Realty. I hope everyone had an awesome weekend. So excited. Business is really picking up. As you notice, as you're driving around on the weekends, you probably see all those open house signs, and I'm getting a lot of calls saying they had great activity on their open house. So right now is the perfect time to prospect. We got through property taxes, we got through income taxes. Now the sellers and the buyers are focused and ready to sell or buy. So prospect, 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 give me a call. I'll be more than happy to assist you. I also want to FYI, just a friendly reminder, this Thursday, the Weston Gabriel Board is celebrating Cinco de Mayo. And it starts at 8:30. They're doing a breakfast. They're having games and prizes, mariachi. So 8:30 this Thursday, the 30th, and it's going to be a fun celebration. So I hope all of you can make it. Hope to see you there. Have a wonderful and productive day. Yolanda at WFG National Title Company. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Yolanda. You're always so bubbly. Good. Thank you. All right, I think that's all the affiliates. And as I said, instead of affiliate spotlight, we have Michelle teaching us, refreshing our memories on the BRBC. As you know, BRBC is very important, especially after the lawsuit recently. Remember, in April 10th, we had a settlement for the on this law in the case to Connie versus the Ed World the properties, and in which the NA out settled with the plaintiff for the buyers for $52.5 million. And after the lawsuit, it's even more important to know about the BRBC, because now it is even more important that we have the transparency, and there's also the routine that set forth in the settlements. So, it's very imperative that before you show the property and before you represent the buyer, you must have the BRBC signed and by the buyer. And also, if the seller demands it, you have to show that you have the signed BRBC. Okay, well, without further ado, let's welcome Michelle. Michelle, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Okay, I hope you can all see my screen. Okay, so I just populated the form as it comes up when you populate the BRBC. It's first going to start with the disclosure regarding real estate agency. This is also required and it's very important. Don't just do the BRBC. Make sure that you populate the BRBC and handle all of the forms at once with your client. So this is the agency disclosure, which we all know. So the buyer would sign here and date it. We'd sign here and date it. And as Peter mentioned, you need to do this prior to offer, but you should do it actually when you start working with them and showing property, because you want to make sure you're covered and that you're going to get paid for your effort. So we recommend that when you start showing property, you have the BRBC in place, but you cannot do it after. You need to do it the latest at the offer, okay? The latest date. Okay. So this is a refresher for all of us. So this is the buyer representation, broker compensation. You're going to put the date prepared here. And then you're going to put the buyer here, our brokerage here. I use High 10 Partners Inc., but of course, we DBA a couple of ways is Coldwell Banker Commercial George Realty or High 10 George Realty for residential. So those are perfectly okay to use. I'm just used to using our corporate name, but I'll leave that to you. Representation period. This cannot go over 90 days if the buyer is not a corporation or an LLC. When I attended training, you know how we'll just go 3 months out and put the date? Sometimes there's 92 days or something in that 3-month span. So make sure you're really looking at the calendar. That's one of the pro tips that the lawyers from CAR said to be clued in on, because sometimes you just look and you go 3 months out, but there could actually be 92 days. So make sure you're really looking at the days so that if the buyer is not an LLC or a corporation, that you haven't gone over 90 days, okay? Because that's easy to do just by taking 3 months. So you need to look at the days in a month and make sure you're not exceeding the 90 days. So the type of representation, we always ask that you try to, you get an exclusive, because again, you want to be paid for your work. So you want to check this box that it's in exclusive. Property type, it's always going to be defaulted to a single family. I recently saw this check that excluded it. So make sure that you understand this is your default. And since we're working on this example with somebody buying single family, I will always check multifamily residential 2 to 4 units, just in case, okay? So the location, I like to use county, so I'm not just tied to a couple of cities on my contract. So I will always use the counties that I'm going to be showing in rather than the cities, because I don't want to put San Dimas here and then they buy in Alhambra. So I'm going to cover myself with the county. Excuse me, buyer preferences and priorities. You can use the BIPP to identify all of their priorities, but usually you've already interviewed them, so this isn't required, but if you want to attach it, you can and write all of their preferences. I personally don't do that, but that's again up to you. If there's a property that's excluded from this representation because they're on contract with another agent for that property, you will need to identify that here, or if there's too much to put here, then you can identify it on an attached list. So hopefully this is blank and they're not under contract on a property with somebody else, but that could be. So when you're first talking to the buyer, you do need to ask them if they're under a representation agreement with another agent, okay? So here they're telling you that real estate commissions are not fixed by law and they are negotiable between buyer and broker. This is a result of, as Peter just discussed, the NAR lawsuit. Amount of compensation, I put in 3%, but again, you do need to discuss this with the buyer. So 3% of the acquisition price. Now, how it works is payments received from broker from any other seller. If the broker receives compensation from the seller or others for the representation, whatever the combined amount of those fees cannot exceed the 3% because that's what you have on your agreement. So I've had people ask me, oh yeah, but my buyer is willing to give me another point, so I would really be at 4%. If your representation agreement does not say 4%, then no, you can't do that because people not only can ask the other side ask for this agreement, which if a buyer's paying, they're not going to be as concerned, but we get audited. So we need to do things right and in accordance with the law that was established and not circumvent things. So if you think the buyer's willing to pay a point, by all means, up your compensation to cover that, okay? So continued right for broker-involved properties, I always like to put 90 days here, meaning if I showed a property, if I introduced the property to them, and this representation agreement expires, I still have the 90 days, providing I give a form that I showed the buyer that property. You have to have that signed, okay? So broker is paying a referral fee related to representation of buyer. If that's the case, you check this box, and we went over the RAD form, that will automatically populate. So there's a big difference here on the cancellation right for non-exclusive, which is why we don't recommend it, plus you want to be paid. The cancellation is effective upon receipt when they notify you. But on exclusive, the cancellation's effective 30, or you can amend the days here. You can certainly amend them here too, but not to exceed 30 days after receipt. So I usually just let this default. Time for a buyer to deliver their personal financial information within 5 calendar days. But remember, you can also ask the buyer if they have a lender letter, which you would want, because if you're running around showing properties, you want to make sure that they've already been vetted by a lender. So I would have been asking that right up front and get that letter so that you'll need it for offers anyway. So in this case, I just did this so that you understand. If the buyer tells you, I don't have sufficient funds to pay the commission, you must check the box. So you check the box if that is the case and what the buyer is telling you. So once you check that box, what happens next is when you write an offer, of course, you will always put the commission request in on the offer. And the seller has one of 3 ways to go. They can accept the offer with your commission not to exceed the 3% in our example. They can counter the commission, or they can say, no, we're not paying commission. But you need to try to get the commission either way, whether this is checked or not. You put it into the agreement not to exceed, in our example, the 3%. So that's a very important box if that is what your buyer told you, because we do have a fiduciary to them. But if they didn't tell you that, it remains unchecked. And let's say the seller paid you 2% because they countered it to 2. In our example, then the buyer would pay you the 1%. And I have seen that. So it's going to populate with the broker compensation, the BCA form. That is required. And I'm going to just come back here because I want to show you. Okay, so here, in addition to checking that it's an exclusive agreement, in order to make that so, you also need to have your buyer initial. So don't forget it. When you check the exclusive, always come back here and make sure you've highlighted that for initial for your buyer. Okay? So this is really an important box because it goes hand in hand with checking the front page as an exclusive agreement. So, and then this is just the signature page. You want to make sure all your information as well as the buyers is filled out. Of course, they have the checkbox if it were an entity buyer. If you check this box and fill this out, then you wouldn't need to turn in the representation capacity because you have the information here. Okay, so it also populates with a possible representation of more than one buyer or seller. That needs to be done when they sign this. Broker, as we said, the BCA is here, the compensation advisory. It's 2 pages. And buyer's investigation advisory is populated. And the CCPA. So make sure when you're presenting this package that whatever's in it, that you do present it for signature. And again, do that before you write an offer, but at the very latest, at the time of offer, you cannot go, you don't go beyond that date. It has to be dated the same, or we prefer that you do it ahead of time so that you know you're covered when you're showing property. Okay, so that concludes my quick class on this. Is there any questions? Okay, and remember, this applies to commercial too, and there is an AIR form for buyer broker representation for the commercial side. So make sure that you read that. It's a little bit different than this one, but not too much. So if we ever need to go over that, I'm happy to go over it. I usually work with those at least a couple times a week. So if you want some training on the AIR representation form, I'm happy to do that as well. So are there any questions? If not, I'm going to stop the share and turn it back over to Peter for his briefing.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Michelle. It's very useful. Yeah, again, I have to emphasize that it's very important, especially after the second lawsuit. The second lawsuit was from the buyers, plaintiffs. So and then it solidified the requirement of the BRBC as well as the transparency policy. Okay. All right. Well, we don't. But this Wednesday, the CRE WIN class will continue for the 5th session, and I think this session is going to be very practical. I think I forgot what the topic is, but nevertheless, and for those who has registered for the class, be sure you attend because they are really taking the attendance seriously. And you have to attend 80% of the classes in order to receive the certificates, okay? And they're keeping track of the attendance. All right, and this Friday, I think we don't have a training. We have taking a week off from the training, right, Michelle? I think you're very right. So we won't have any training on this Friday. So with that, do you have any questions? Michelle? I guess Michelle is busy right now. Okay, well, since Michelle is not available to tell you what's about the listing and the sales, I'll give the report to you. All right, the next actually last week was not too bad. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 new escrows and 4 new listing. And last week we have 3, 4, 5, 7 sales completed. So that's not too bad. So let me tell you about the new escrow then. The first one is by Sharon Chow. Sharon Chow is both the selling and the listing agent as for Lease and Covina. for 34,200. The second one is Christina Fan is also a lease for Monterey Park for $42,000. Then we have Michael Renovate, which is a land for $750,000 in Palm Spring. And then Michael is the selling agent. And then we have Herman Soliso for condo in Amante for $845,000. And Herman is the selling agent. Then we have Nina and Tatiana who double-ended the condo in Monterey Park for $675,000. And then we have Alice Chu. Alice Chu is the selling agent for the single-family residence in Alhambra for $1.161 million. Then we have lease by Amy Wong for $262,800. It's a commercial lease in San Marino. Then we have Alice Chu is the selling agent for residence in Pasadena for $1.025 million. The last but not the least is the residence sale by Anna Chai, in which that Anna is the selling agent for single-family residence in Brea for $1.793 million. Congratulations on those new escrows. Then we have the new listings for the week. The first one is Alden Lai for $3.5 million commercial land in Moreno Valley for $3.5 million. Then we have Eric Toh, which is the industrial property in Whittier for $729,000. Then we have Shimei Cam and Harrison Cam for commercial lease for $1,500 per month. And also Shimei and Harrison has commercial real estate in Alhambra for $3.5 million. Congratulations. Then for the closed escrow last week, as I told you, we have 7 of them. The first one is the lease by Christina and Meng Lee for $42,000. And the second lease is by the Sharon Chow, and Sharon Chow's double-ended this lease for $34,200. Then we have Tatiana and Nina for a condo in Monterey Park for $675,000. And then we have a lease by Amy Wong for $262,800. Then we have Herman for a residence in Monterey Park for $810,000. Herman is the selling agent. Then we have Lucy Clark selling, or actually listing, which is the list agent for Lucy, is for $870,000 a residence in Ontario. And last but not the least, we have Tatiana and Nina for condo in Monterey Park for $700,000. So not too bad for last week. Pretty good activity. So we hopefully the momentum will keep on, and hopefully you guys will have more to come. Okay. Any questions? Any reduction in price or any new listing or sales that I have not mentioned? Please speak up. Or any question at all? This is good time for open forum. No? Okay. If not, I will go to my market update today. Okay, and I'll tell you what's happening in the market, which I do every month. Okay, as you know, as you probably noticed already, the price and all the sectors are pretty soft because of the uncertainty, because of the war, because of this the job market and because of the economies. So mostly pretty flat, and and in Southern California, it's almost no change at all. And the for in Northern California, the only bright spot is the San Francisco, and other than San Francisco, the price on all the other areas are pretty flat. As a matter of fact, like some of them has a negative reduction in price, other than the properties in San Francisco. And over here in Southern California, the only bright spot is the San Diego. And as you can see, the San Diego has 1% medium price increase, and price per square foot is 2%. But other than that, other areas are pretty flat, especially like Los Angeles area, and both the medium price and the price per square foot remained the same. And that you do notice a little bit of listing increase month to month, but for year to year, you can see that this year compared to last year, it's like 10 to 14% reduction. So even though there's a little bit of increase last month, and it's still kind of not too good compared to last year. That's how the Southern California looks like recently. And then you notice that for the closed sales already, the 25% of the 25 days is on the market. Most of the sales are closed sales. Have 25 days on the market, but when you're looking at the new sales, for the last couple of months, for the new sales is like staying longer now. Instead of 25 days, it's more like 45 days, meaning that it's harder to sell. It stay on the market longer, and you can really tell when one of our agents has a lot of condos in Monterey Park, and in January and February, she is selling it at a very rapid rate, but now she's experiencing kind of sluggish sales already. So the sluggish in sale is real. And if you're looking at the reduced price, and 32% of the active listing was sold and reduced price, and some of the 49% of the houses are sold below the list price, and only 40% of the sales sold over the list price. So you can tell that there's more sellers are willing to reduce the price instead of insisting for a higher price, which means that the market has been slowing down a little bit. Now, if we are looking at the outstanding mortgage by interest rate, you can see that the sellers is still locked in the interest rate trap, because they have enjoyed the lower rate for so long. And as a matter of fact, 30% of the mortgages are still under 3%, and 30%, almost 30% are under 4%. And there's about 15% between 4 to 5% interest rate, and about 8% between 5 to 6%, and then 15% over 6%. So you're looking at this curve, you can see that there's still predominantly almost 60% of the mortgages are below 4%. which is a far cry because you know, right now the average mortgage is 6.5%. So why should you be cashing in your house and buy a new one? So, it just financially it's just not feasible. So still, as I said, it's still locked in the interest rate trap. The seller want to stay put because they have a lower interest rate on the current mortgage and the lower property taxes because of Proposition 13. And if you sell the property, the capital gain to hit you with 20 to 25% tax rate. And so if you sell the property, where can you go? If you still stay in California, the price is getting higher and higher. There's and the interest rate is pretty up there too. It's 6.5%. Compared to like 3% a couple of years ago. So they will just stay in the current location, and if they need more space, they will just remodel. And that's exactly what happened to my daughter. She's in San Diego, and then she decided instead of buying an upgrading buying a new house to upgrade, she will just stay and remodel the present location and add ADU and add more space to the current dwelling. So that's what a lot of people are doing too. So, if you're looking at the house affordability, is really historical low because you can see that for California it's 18%, which is still compared to other years before. Like in 2012, the affordability is like 55%, but now it's only 18%. And compared to also St. Louis Obispo, which is almost the bottom area, and the affordability is even lower at 14%. So it's very hard to buy a house nowadays. Not too many first home buyers can afford it. And also, the insurance is playing a lot of factors in the decision to buy a house too, because the insurance premium has been always going up and up and up. You see, in 2019, or actually even in 2016, the insurance is only 1% or 2% of the annual cost. But right now it's 8% for 2026, and it's projected to remain the same in 2027, if not more. And you can see that for compared to last year in California, it has 16% increase in the insurance rate, which is just phenomenal, and never in history that has rates of 16% or more. And this is just the average. Some people just experience 24%, 50% increases rate. In California, it's very bad. And so that other area is not too good either, like Nebraska, New Mexico. They're all over. The insurance rate is going crazy. And presently the California homeownership rate is at 55.9%, compared to in 2005 and 2006. The rate was like almost 59%. So it's quite a dip on homeownership, not people, but it's but still not too bad, But and if you're looking at the age factor, then you can see that 55 to 59 as the best the rate, which is 90%. 90% of the people from 55 to 59 has a house, So that's not too bad. So that means that when they get older, they like to purchase a home. And that's a proven benefit of home ownership. As you know, when you have a home, your net equity usually is much better than your peer. So that's historical fact. And in California, unfortunately, during the last few years, there's an exodus of people going away from California because of the high standard of living and the high price the house, and people just cannot afford it, so they go to some other area like Minnesota, Michigan, not Michigan, but Idaho, and places like that where they have a much lower standard of living. But they have a net exodus of 2.4 million people during the last maybe 6 years. So why is it important? Because if you don't have people, you don't have workers, you don't have productivity, and your GDP will go down. So the GDP of the California is at stake. So it's important to have people in the state. So basically, the housing market outlook is that for 2026, eventually, by the end of 2026, you'll have the single family house resale increase of 2%, and the price will increase by 3.5% by the end of 2026, and only 18% of the people can afford to buy a house in California, and the mortgage rate will probably stay at 5.9%. Right now it's 6.57. Hopefully, when we go towards the end of the year, it will go down a little bit. But let's keep our fingers crossed. And as I mentioned before, there might be about 1 or 2 interest reduction by the Fed. So it depends on the economy, it depends on the war, it depends on the employment and the inflation. So let's keep our fingers crossed, okay? So that is the outlook for the real estate market. I want to stop the share right now. Are there any questions? Any question you want to talk about? So basically, the housing market didn't change much from last month. We are still kind of slow. But don't get discouraged. Things will get better. All right, any questions? Anyone, anything that you want to talk about?
Hi, Peter.
Yes. Hi, Laura.
Yes, this is Laura. Yeah. I'll talk a little bit about my listing in Bradbury.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Yes. It is a
You want to
beautiful
share
home.
screen?
Yeah. I'm driving actually.
Oh, you're driving, so you don't
Yeah.
need to share screen. Okay, just go ahead, talk.
I can
about
speak
your
a little bit.
listing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a beautiful home designed and built with a famous designer and builder in the 24-hour guarded gated community in Bradbury. And yeah, so I hope you can find a buyer.
Okay, is there any reduction in price, right? Is there any reduction in price or
yeah,
just price
it's 5.8 million now. So reduced 80,000.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
So so hopefully we can get this sold and you can make a big commission.
Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
that's all I want to say. Thank you so much, Peter. Thank you.
Okay, what is cooperating? What do you think that the buyer can get a commission? What's the rate?
2%.
2%. Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. That's 2% for
Yeah.
5.8.
Offer
That's over
buyer's agent.
100,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good.
Uh-huh.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
Yes.
Thank you, Laura, for sharing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Any question for Laura? Anybody to give her an offer?
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Laura, for sharing.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Anybody want to share their listings, their open houses, or whatever? Okay. If no question, I would like to adjourn the meeting, and I wish you a very nice week. And we'll see you next week. All
Bye,
right.
everybody.
Bye bye. Take care.